Hi folks, it's good to be with you. My name's Jason. You can get me on my website, jasonburstpreacher.com. Get me on Facebook. You can get me on Twitter and YouTube. I hope everybody's okay. I'm excited because there's a debate coming up between Mohammed Hijab and David Wood. David Wood is a Christian apologist who's heavily involved in the website Answering Islam, which is an excellent website to show and critique Islam. And then Mohammed Hijab, who's quite well known at Speaker's Corner. Now, I'm going to give you my take on what's going to happen. Mohammed Hijab and the Dawah teams in Hyde Park control the conversation. They like to control the conversation. Where debating David Wood, Mohammed Hijab will not be able to control the conversation. So number one, Mohammed Hijab is not going to find it easy against a Christian apologist like David Wood. That's the first point. The second point is David Wood is very, very hard-hitting apologist. He pulls no punches. He really goes for the jugular. And he will exploit and expose Mohammed Hijab's weaknesses, and in argument and in his presentation. So that's number two. Number three, Mohammed Hijab likes to present himself as laid back, present himself as a bit of an intellectual, and he likes his philosophical kind of arguments. But David Wood is more than a match to take on any philosophical arguments that Mohammed Hijab might bring up. Now, I just want to talk about some of the Islamic apologetics that are around at the moment concerning the Trinity. One of the ways that they critique the Trinity is they try to talk about the history of the Church, and that the Trinity was not developed until the 4th century AD, and because it wasn't developed then, it obviously wasn't a biblical teaching. This is one of their favourite arguments. Adam Rashid uses it, Paul Williams uses it, and many others use it. And they try to kind of produce a red herring where they will say, show us where the Father and the Son are equal in the early church. And you can read the Nicene Creed, where it talks about that the Son is light of light, full of God, etc. And behind the Nicene Creed, where the discussion is Jesus God, or is he created by God? And the Nicene Creed comes down on no, he's God. But the Muslim apologists like Adam Rashid and others, they try to produce a red herring where they'll say, show us where it says in the early church fathers that the Father and the Son are equal, because you will not be able to find that. And this is a red herring because, for example, Tertullian is one they use. Tertullian believed that Jesus was God, that Jesus was equal with the Father. But they also had understanding of what is called the economy of salvation, or the economic Trinity. Then there was the relational Trinity. So they saw that the Father planned salvation, the Son accomplished salvation, the Holy Spirit revealed salvation. But they were co-equal. But because of this hierarchy, the Muslim apologists seem to think that that doesn't mean that the early church fathers didn't think that the Son and the Father were equal. So they produce red herrings because they don't really read the literature of the early church fathers, and they're confused on the way they interpret the early church fathers. So that's debunked their historical understanding of the early church fathers. And right early on, in Ignatius and Polycarp, there was clear understanding that the Son was God. Very clear in Ignatius and Polycarp, which are the earliest church fathers concerning this issue. The second thing is the exegesis. Muslims will bring arguments, Muslim apologists will bring arguments concerning the New Testament, Old Testament. They will say, like the Old Testament says, only one God. They will say that Jesus in Mark 10, for example, said there was only one God, forgetting that in the Old Testament there was revelations of God revealing himself in different manifestations. For example, the Holy Spirit, the breath of God, creating things. The coming of the men to Abraham, who Abraham saw as God. So there was hints there in the Old Testament of a Trinity, of a plurality. And then, secondly, in Mark 10, you read on, and there's clear reference there that Jesus shows that he's God, because he refers to a psalm which says about my Lord. If you read Mark 10 and you read on, the Lord quotes a psalm, and that psalm indicates that he is God. So the Muslims get text out of context. They rent things out of context. And then the third thing is, the Muslims will not answer questions about their issues about when they say there is one God. And you can see that in the debate between Samuel Green and Adam Rashid. Right in the early debate, Samuel Green gave some brilliant questions concerning the philosophical problems of the oneness of God, and they were not dealt with whatsoever by Adam Rashid. And there are philosophical problems, and the problem is this, that there is no, and this is the issue, once you grasp this issue, it's all over for Islam concerning the oneness of God. Here's the question. Here's the issue. There is no pure oneness. Every oneness has distinction. For example, this glass. It's one glass, but there are distinctions within it. It's round. The different particles of the glass. Everything that is one. There's distinction. So there's no pure oneness. So in the Islamic God, there are 99 names of Allah. There's distinction. That's not just one. There's 99 names. In the Islamic God, there are attributes of God. There is distinction. So there's no pure one essence that has no distinction. Reality is one, but there are many parts to reality, you see. So once you grasp this point, this is a philosophical problem that Samuel Green pushed on Adam Rashid, and Adam Rashid never even entertained it, never even thought about it. They seem to assume that we have the problem, but don't deal with the problems that they have philosophically. So Mohammed Hijab will come at David Wood with some philosophical questions, but they can be countered with philosophical questions to Mohammed Hijab. They will try to do the exegesis of the Old and New Testament. David Wood will bang him on that and absolutely nail him, showing that he's getting things out of context and he's not actually interpreting things correctly, and there is a wider understanding of the text. And then thirdly, he will nail Mohammed Hijab on the early church and how to understand the early church. So those are the three things: exegesis, philosophical arguments, and the early church. And David Wood will pin Mohammed Hijab every time on these issues, because David Wood will work very, very hard to pin Mohammed Hijab on these issues. And Mohammed Hijab will not find it easy. Because he's used to, like all the Islamic Dawah teams in Hyde Park, to control and manipulate people. They kind of do young people grooming. They groom young people who don't know anything. But when you hit a professional apologist like David Wood, you are in trouble, and you're going to be in trouble, Mohammed Hijab. You're going to be in big trouble, because David Wood knows what he's doing. God bless you.